When I was actively drinking, I lived in a constant survival mode. I wasn't thriving in any way. I lived from getting blackout drunk to waking up at 3 a.m. with my heart racing, full of panic, telling myself I'm never going to drink again, to just drink again that next day. Hair of the dog, you start feeling like crap, those withdrawals kick in, to another blackout drunk after I told myself we're just going to drink a little bit because we're just going to nurse this hangover and get rid of it because we're going to quit drinking. So we're going to wean ourselves off. That never worked because I never had control once I started. So that would lead to another night of blackout drunk and another early morning wake up at 3 a.m. full of panic. And that cycle went on and on and on. And the benders would last up to 7 days, and they got darker and darker as time went on. And that's how I lived. I wasn't reaching goals. I wasn't working on any issues in my life. It was just do enough or do what I can do for these areas in my life: marriage, work, social life, mentally, physically, whatever it was. Do enough in those areas just to slightly stay above water. But alcohol is a progressive thing, and as it got worse, I got to a place where I started drowning and I couldn't stay above water anymore, and I couldn't stay in survival mode anymore. I was high functioning for a while, but it got to a place where I couldn't function at that level anymore. My mental health and my physical health took a turn for the worst, and I had no control. Alcohol was in the front seat of my life, and I was just along for the ride. And even then, I still tried to survive in that mode the best that I could. And I noticed how I lowered my standards as my alcohol got progressively worse. Like, this is my standard for my marriage, but as the alcoholism took over, that standard lowered and lowered and lowered. This is the standard for my job, but as that got worse and worse and worse, the drinking did. I was canceling appointments, I wasn't showing up, and it was just downhill from there. It was a slow fade over time, in the sense that I didn't become an alcoholic just overnight. But it felt like when it took a turn for the worst, it went fast. And I've learned now that living in survival mode, you are not thriving in any way. You are settling for less than best, and you will constantly keep lowering that bar as your addiction gets worse.